Astronomical observations, arithmetic, geometry, architecture, all the arts, and nearly all the sciences and industries of the present day were known when the Greeks were still cavemen. Yeah, yeah, we're about to get into it. Let's go. All right, we're in chapter six. Chapter six, Egypt and her golden age. Egypt and her golden age. Yes, this is an introduction to African history geared just for you, designed to foster a life of learning. Yes, it's an introduction to African history. Yes, I fell off a little bit. We're going to do this thing once a week. We should do it once a week. We should get together at least once a week. My bad, I need to work on that, right? We're going to go over a few readings on the continent. Are there any other civilizations in Africa outside of Kemet? Yes, we are engaged in ancient Kush. Yeah, you listening to King Cam and Ujumbe podcast, and Ujumbe and his message. We are getting into the South. I'm excited about it. Welcome back. Shout out to the fam all over the country, all over the world. Um, it's your boy King Cam. I got a lot of things coming. I got a lot of things that's in the mix, but I'm glad that you guys are back with me, rolling with me. Shout out to all you guys. I really appreciate it. Let's go. Now, this is the book, our textbook, Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Cushite Empire. The link is in the description. As a Amazon affiliate, I earn from qualifying purchases and no extra cost to you. But I don't just talk about the books, I read them, I got them. All right. So in order for us to even engage in conversation, we've got to read something, right? But here's the bonus. Well, here's the essential question before we get into the bonus information, because I'm getting ahead of myself. Essential questions: what evidence does Drusilla Houston, provide to show the Cushite influence on ancient Egyptian civilization? In what ways did Cushite traditions shaped Egyptian culture, religion, and politics? How does Houston argue that the commonly held views of ancient Egypt need to be reevaluated? Let's go. Yeah, she comes out swinging. Astronomical observations, again, arithmetic, geometry, architecture, all the arts, nearly all the sciences and industries. For the fam who know, liberal arts and sciences is key to civilizing humanity. Um, and like I said, industries of the present day were known when the Greeks were still cavemen. She says that. And this is over 100 years old. She says that. She, can't argue with it, right? Now, the history of 8,000 years deposited in our sacred books, but we can ascend to much higher antiquity and tell you that what our fathers have done 9,000 years. Kemet, Sudan, Nubia, Axum, Ethiopia, the Nile River Valley is a lot older than a lot of people give them credit, and they were civilized a long time ago. All right. Now, of course, the origins. Now we're talking about Egypt and her golden age. The origins of the sciences, many other moral precepts still taught from the wisdom of the ancients were recorded upon the Egyptian papyri or the monuments. This thing was written either in paper or put in stone. I'm going to show you some of the stuff either in paper or in stone. Okay. This is something that they took seriously. This was information that was handed down to them from the south, from Nubia and from Ethiopia. All right, a little bit more. According to the Earth and its inhabitants is a book, volume 1, page 207. The very groove of our present thought had its origin upon the banks of the Nile. So a lot of people, believe it or not, was giving Kemet credit for civilizing them. Think about it. Africans in Africa were civilizing other nations around the world, right? Egypt. All right. Now, according to Houston, as the ages succeeded and Egypt became mingled with other races, her arts declined. She seemed to forget the meaning of her religion, and finally, only animal worship remained. Over time, the knowledge, the deep sciences, the sacred knowledge, that the things that the Kemetic people held dear and understood was watered down. Okay. and only basic, basic information, basic knowledge of, say, surface information remained. Why? Because this was at the point of the Greco-Roman invasion. And so when Greece and Rome invaded, and they just said, here, take whatever this stuff is, and do with it what you will. And so unfortunately, a lot of the heart and soul of that science was lost and or forgotten. All right. So for example, Heru M. Aket is, like people call it, the Sphinx. It is deeper, it's more than that. It is more to it than just say this monument that somebody's going to place. It was a part of the overall celestial mapping. Okay. As above, so below. They developed those things as to point to people that say, hey, there is something greater that we got to deal with. There's something greater that we got to address. And remember, the Heru and Maquette is 10,500 years old. And so the people of Kemet was already studying the stars and mapping the stars for eons before they even put a stone together to build this monument. So when people just say it's just the head of a man, body of a lion, that's half of it. There's more to it than that. Okay. Now, remember the prehistoric Egypt. They found the priests founded a priestly caste. The priesthood included judges, physicians, astrologers, architects, but the information was diluted over time. The priests came, the priestly group, the Kariheb, came from Ethiopia also. The Kariheb, the priests of Amun, and many others came from the south. They didn't just pop up and say, this is what we're going to be. This information was handed down to them from mouth to ear. It was either through written tradition or oral tradition. All right. So now Egyptian civilization was highest at its first appearance, showing that they drew from a fountain higher than themselves. Okay. They worshiped one supreme being. Okay. So yes, they had different to my understanding, they had different aspects of that. But when it came down to it, the hidden one, the unmoved mover or Amun was their person. Okay. So, but what happened is when Europeans got a hold of it, they said, oh, they're worshiping a dog or a cat. No, that is the power behind it. They know that there's something that's changing the season. There's someone that is making all these things happen at one time. There is a orchestrator. There is an architect that we cannot see and we can't understand, but we do respect and revere him. Okay. Now, so this is out of the book coming forth by day. It says Nuk per Amin, Ami Ab per Ab Ami Sat Anksa im Teta. Okay, I'm coming forth, and I'm in the hidden one, pure of heart, within the pure body. I live through my words. That's the reason why I tell my students words have power. Words are important. You just don't just, that's why our leaders have to be careful as to what we say and when we say them, because our words have weight. Okay, words can encourage people or it can break somebody down. So they use words to make something live. Okay. You guys use your words to encourage people. That's why I teach. Right. Now, so remember, Egypt had no emphasis because its first colonists had been civilized in Ethiopia. There was no emphasis. There was no baby stage of Egypt. Unlike many other civilizations where Europe, they had their infancy stage, or Greece had their infancy stage, or even America had their infancy stage. Egypt didn't have it. Why? Because they inherited the information from Ethiopia. And Egypt did not begin with, as an empire, did not begin with Menes or the Scorpion King. He inherited that information. He brought that information from Nubia, from Ethiopia to Kemet. All right. At the time, Kemet already had its architects, sculptors, painters, mythologists, and theologians, according to the book. They had all these things already. They just moved into a different place, into a different area. All right. So for 6,000 years, men did not advance beyond the arts of Egypt. So from the knowledge of Egypt and Kemet, people didn't go beyond that. They didn't advance beyond that. What they had to do was figure out how to make horses go faster or something like that. Or then here come the train, and then here come the car. But before that, no. All right. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of people would say that it was only men that were in these roles, but our sisters was also in these roles, and they were just as capable of ruling and leading people. All right. Take that as you will, however you want to take it. All right. But remember, Imhotep, the man who designed the pyramids, he had a mother. He had a grandmother. They passed this information down to him. He just didn't, haphazardly get an idea and here it comes, right? So the original priests of Kemet or Kari have were Ethiopian and passed down this knowledge to their scholars in Waset, in Thebes. That was the seat of power. We're going to get more into it as time go on, but as that was the southern border in the Aswan area, the southern border of modern day Egypt and the northern border of Sudan, Waset. That was the area. That was the seat of power. That was the gateway. Okay. And so when Kemetic Empire finally fell, the priesthood was not able to perfectly maintain the customs and orders. By the way, both men and women were initiated into the priesthood. I gotta reiterate that. There were priestesses out there, there was priests out there, but they had different roles, but they went through a similar same process. What that process is, it may be lost to time, or it may be in time that we would get that information, but brothers and sisters went through a priestly process. But it wasn't just religion. It wasn't just a once a week for 30 minutes kind of thing. These priests were the theologians, but there was also the teachers, there was also the scientists, there was also the bakers, there was also the architects, there was also these other things. It just so for example, if a person was a teacher, they was also the priest, or vice versa. They didn't in Kemet, that was not separated. Okay. Now, of course, as now there are some people that can choose to be in these sciences and these things and not be a priest. That's fine, but the more advanced knowledge, the more advanced information was relegated and only passed down to the priests and priestesses. Right now, I'm done saying words for now, but guess what? Coming up next spring, the Queens of the South or the Ladies of the North and South. For the ladies, here we go. I have a special series, a special presentation for the queens who were empowered with that title, the Lord of the North and South. Remember, the pharaohs weren't just the men. The women were the insubiti also. It was even-handed around here. Okay. So I'm excited. It's the Queens of the North and South, or the Ladies of the North and South. We're going to get more into it. And what's next? We will discuss chapter 7. For more on ancient Kush, check out Sister Danita Smith, Yaya Shabaka, AE Learning, and here's some books: Sacred Science, Pre-Colonial Black Africa by Sheket Juk, The Egyptian Miracle, The Message of the Sphinx. Man, I am excited. We just got through talking about chapter 6, Egypt in her golden age. I'm very thankful that you guys are here, and we're going to get right into it. We're going to deal with the kings or the lords of Egypt. Next up, I'm very excited about that. That is in chapter 7. This is about to get interesting. I'm just thankful that we're back in the mix. We're going to get down to it. You just listened to King Cam and Ujumbe podcast, and Ujumbe means message. I'll talk to you later.